y'all. Joe Dunbar, Starin, Midwich Group, Infocomm 24, day 2. So I think I can put away a lot of the pleasantries. I will always mention that we're here, hashtag AVonAir at the booth, bringing you guys content all week. Louis, how are you feeling after day 1, your first Infocomm day, the party? I mean, we did a lot yesterday.
We did do a lot yesterday, and everyone that speaks to me is telling me that I sound pretty rough, so I must be feeling rough. I'm actually not feeling rough. It's just the voice. It's just the voice. I'm feeling great. Yesterday was great. There was loads of good conversations. Saw loads of good people. We had a great party last night as well.
We did have a great party last night. Blake Shelton showed up to the party last night, and virtual, and you know. Oh,
here we go. We got our first drop.
We've got a guest dropping in right now. Oh, Chris is hearing us outside on the feed. You want to take this beef public?
I don't know, man, because every time I think that I should be discussing this in a calm manner with you, you always have to take it up a notch.
I do take it up a notch. I'm pretty passionate about AV.
I'm here to squash the beef. This is our Kendrick versus
I'm gonna have to sit in the middle and adjudicate.
Yeah, you better.
Yeah,
all right. Do you want to tell Louis what's
Keep
going
it
on?
calm.
You need me to do it?
Yeah. So what happens is, every once in a while, Joe likes to, tell me that he likes these moving 3D things, right? These LED walls that pump in and out. They're beautiful.
Fan.
Don't get me wrong. They're
You can
awesome.
at me anytime.
So, the history of this moving artistic wall LED thing, for me, kind of goes back to this installation that I saw in New York City.
Okay.
So all we heard about was this really cool, undulating wall in Times Square. And not just anywhere, I mean prominently in a space in Times Square, opposite the ball drop, right? If you're walking, there's no way you can miss this thing.
Right.
That thing gets installed within 2 weeks, it ain't moving. Fix it, somebody who goes, fixes it, knocks it, gets it back working. 10 days later, boom, same thing. Stuck in an awkward spot.
See, I've got to say though as well, before we get too far into this, I'm with Chris on this. So we had this chat.
He hasn't even got his piece out, and you're like, I'm in with Chris.
Yeah. So I went home and I discussed this with my partner, who's got no interest in AV at all. No interest in AV. And we sat down and we talked through this, and I was like, so Chris brought up this good point, and then we were looking through photos online. And how many photos do we find online? Stuck.
Okay.
And I was like, I've got to be Team Chris.
So the beef isn't necessarily that the technology isn't cool or applicable or whatever. No. It's that it's not realistic, sustainable.
Okay. This is where let's start with what we have in common.
Okay, yeah.
What we have in common is that somebody had
stunning good looks.
An idea.
Okay.
Stunning good looks. Come on. Somebody had the idea to do this, and then somebody else had the fortitude to say, let's do it. And then somebody said, I think that's a horrible idea. When do we start? Right?
Where do I sign the check?
Yes. Yeah. So we applaud the risk, the creativity, and the knowledge that
I appreciate you that standpoint.
Yes,
all right?
yes, and I cleaned that up because I would have used many other expressions in that. But I'm trying to keep this PG.
We're trying to keep it for the people.
Yes, this is
never stop trying. Never stop trying to do things. Like if you want to make it strange, you go for it. Right? You back that.
But this is where we split. So the split becomes is that I'm the person that believes that mechanical moving parts are wonderful. They're great, but why add?
More stuff to break.
More stuff to break.
Yeah, I hear it.
And I've known enough people in this space that will go towards that mechanical thing. That they can't get past it. It's cool. It's visual. But in all my years that I've been doing this sort of stuff, I've met some really good, creative, talented content designers.
Oh, yes.
Who can give you an anamorphic version of that won't break if the snowflake falls on it.
Right.
Right?
This is fair.
Yeah.
I
so
can
that's
see
my
this
fear.
point. Okay.
Pistons, metal, things, rusts, get stuck. You need a little WD-40. Who's going up there?
Right. How are you getting up there? We were talking about this, Chris, the other day. The video wall on the side of the Resorts World. I mean, like, they had to think about, also, how are we going to get up and down to service this thing and clean the windows and clean everything? So you're right.
There's a bigger. I mean, sometimes it's the Jurassic Park theory, right? It's the somebody never stopped to think of it if you should, right?
Just because we can.
Should you? And yes, it's awesome that somebody actually went ahead and did that. And that's, I look at it this way: somebody did that, so somebody else won't.
Yeah, so we don't have to.
They figured it out.
They took the risk and made the mistakes. All right, so I gotta say, we could potentially squash this beef here. Mm-hmm. I think we could find some common ground. You're with Chris the whole way on this?
I'm with Chris on
All
this
right,
one, yeah.
so I'm just
I'm
gonna.
a mechanical man as well, right?
Totally.
I like it old school, but I'm with Chris. Every project I work on, I say like A to B.
Yeah.
Why are we going to add all these other steps into it?
Keep it simple.
Just going to make it wrong. I always say to clients, if I'm doing a project for you, the idea is I never want to hear from you again.
Right.
Because if I hear from you, it's probably gone wrong. Right.
Right.
And if I can stop that from happening, we're golden.
Okay. The only thing I kind of retort I'm really going to offer to you guys is just another point to consider. I agree with you on everything you're saying.
But
there's always a but.
Well,
always a but.
I feel like that applies to the non-moving stuff as well. I dare you. Look, there's more video walls around Las Vegas than probably anywhere else in the country in terms of like condensely packed.
I think you're maybe correct, but
close.
You're close.
Yeah.
And just to put a disclaimer on it, we did not wiki that.
No, we never have. Chris, there's never been a fact check in AVonAir. If we say it's true. That's all there is to it.
The show on ESPN, at the end, somebody's got to go back and like, no, Joe, you're wrong.
Yeah.
The most LED compacted into one space is in
Actually,
Tokyo.
if you stick around till after the credits, there's a correction that comes up. It's longer than the episode.
Excellent.
So the only retort I have is that can apply everywhere else. You can walk through the Las Vegas airport anywhere, especially. You can walk up and down the strip, and I'm not talking about stuff that's being serviced. I'm saying it's broken, and nobody's done anything about it, and nobody's fixed it, and nobody's raised a ticket or called somebody and say, hey, we noticed this is out. And so it's just like, I agree with you, but I feel like that applies to so many things that I don't let it, the magic of the moving stuff, and I say it's magic, we know it's not magic. But for me, like the added depth of something that can move around and kind of come out into our world a little bit enhances the content, if it's working.
So,
it is a bad look if it's busted visually. I feel like, okay, the default should be like if we're sensing, something slowing down, then pull in and keep it together.
So what that is an extremely great commercial for service contracts.
Right.
And there's another thing that should be had with this is that when you're dealing with technologies, being reactive to technologies as opposed to being proactive. Just because it worked day one doesn't mean it'll continue to be, right?
Do you have a plan in place?
Yeah, do you have a plan in place? And honestly, from the early days of putting PCs in rooms to run conference rooms to what it is today, every once in a while, that thing gets loaded up with junk.
Yeah,
and you gotta hit that reset button. Right?
Turn it off and turn it back on. That's 101, right?
Yeah, and like not just as a, at one point I was an installer. I've been a project manager. My best years of knowledge came when I was an end user, when I was the buyer. It basically put me on the spot because I had to create my own service organization.
Wow.
And, you had to have a team that could do certain things, right?
Sure.
I quickly learned I needed somebody who can load code, because to get a programmer to come on site was a scheduled thing.
Right.
At the time, there wasn't that, we're just going to put it on the network. Well, at the time, they didn't even want the systems on the network, right? So somebody had to come, somebody had to bring, a computer with a DB9.
Supercomputer.
Yeah, with a DB9, null modem, all these plugs, connectors, adapters, and all this stuff. And then they'd get there, I'm like, oh man, that's the one cable I don't have.
Yeah.
And
we're still in dongle hell too. What is the deal?
So then a quick, half day shutdown turns into another day of a downtime, and then that technician or that programmer has to come back. So from that perspective, if we quickly learned that we have to be proactive, whether it was using early days, and let's say early days, I was doing this stuff in 2010, so we're talking about maybe 11 years ago.
Yeah, right,
where you would physically have to reboot things every day. And
we
that
still
cleared
see that.
up. Yeah, it cleared up a lot of problems.
It did. I mean, to the point where like a lot of the power solution manufacturers, like, cool, we need to build in remote functionalities and scheduling capabilities so these guys can schedule this and automate it. And it's like it's funny that you bring that up because it's an interesting workaround or solution to something where it's like we still never really fixed the original problem,
Correct.
did we? What is it?
We have a system
know.
that just reboots every day at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And now it's a fresh
it works,
one.
It works flawlessly. Really? That reboot every day at 2 o'clock in the morning. Think about that. What is it
that
dumping?
kills me, like as an engineer sort of side of the thing.
We're
like,
such
that
nerds.
Really kills
oh my
me
God,
on
we're
this
such
side of
nerds.
it.
But
Well,
yeah.
I appreciate the perspective. Can we call this beef semi-squashed? We seem to.
It is. You're not. Listen, my next single will not have your name in it.
Maybe the mixtape, though, you guys.
The street edit, the one
Maybe
that's
the
out on the
mixtape.
streets that
That's
I can't
right.
control.
Chris, I feel silly even asking it because I know, and most of the people know. You're out on the internet. Where do the people find you, man?
You can find me on X, Chris_Neto. That's where I chatter the most. I'm on LinkedIn professionally, and I drop the pictures of what we do socially.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
And can I put it this?
AM?
AV in the AM is Sunday on X, and I bring it over to LinkedIn. But for the folks that do connect with me on LinkedIn, I am open to not open to network. I'm not looking for work, but I am open that you send me a request. Most likely, I'm gonna hit accept. I want to know who people are, and I'm trying to make it a little bit more social. And if you think that me posting selfies of what's going on or party pictures of what's going on at Infocomm, that's all I look at. That's why I work for Starin. They get the paperwork with the details and the technical specs.
I had to explain to Louis a little bit. I was like, Chris actually is like business development extraordinaire, and you just don't see a lot of that.
You won't see it online,
yeah.
because that's my reports are that's how I make my money, man.
Every
But
time
we were talking about the other night though, when we and the trust in people, and when you put yourself out there like you do, you are out there for the world to see.
Yeah,
like
man.
you can't make mistakes when you are the person that people are coming to for that trust value,
dude.
And that's invaluable.
And I appreciate that. At my age, dude, and I'm gonna sound like I'm.
Chris is 150.
At least 100.
I'm sitting pretty down here in my
Dude.
30s. Like, when will I get there?
Dude,
you're gonna die before you make it there.
Dude, I was rebooting the sound system on the Mayflower. But we were rocking all the way.
Was that Electro Voice? I think.
It could have been Electro Voice.
We
Definitely had some Shure microphones on there.
Definitely.
When we told them land ho, right? So it was that whole thing about having the trust and stuff like that. I understand the people that sneak into the DMs and ask me like, hey, what did you see? I'll answer those things more on the private side because I don't want to upset anybody. But what I do, that's part of my response. Like one of the paper things that I have to paper. That's not one of the boxes I check is would you see that we don't sell that looked cool or sounded cool or where the trends are, right?
We very much were talking about that yesterday.
Trends are hard, dude. This industry relies on there's a button. Is that the trend?
Right,
no.
right.
But the trends are influenced by our adjacent industries, and when we can accept that a furniture manufacturer doing something different changes the shape and the way things are done
entirely,
then you understand that trends are now in the hands of the end users who are looking for something different, right? And a prime example is everything moving into software-based, PC-based, right? The flexibility that allows us to create. If you would have said to me 10, 15 years ago that
even
the PC
5.
was the basis of everything.
Even 5 years ago when it was really starting to kick off in the last 5-7 years.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, this industry lived as an appliance industry, built purposeful for that. Hardware boxes.
Closets.
Speakers are still safe.
Sure.
That's
for now,
right? Speakers are still safe, but there's certain things that completely got wiped out because they needed flexibility or they weren't true. Like an amplifier, you buy a good amplifier today, that thing, honestly, man, that'll last you 10, 15, 20 years. Right? You take care of it. You guys are musicians, right? So get that amplifier. You buy a quality amplifier, lasts you forever, and those are the choices. But some of this stuff isn't built the way it used to be.
That's true. Just true of the world in general.
Dude, offline we'll talk about the old fuse, the old amplifiers that took the special
I thought you were going to say offline we were going to talk about the old crank-up cars or something.
No,
dude.
I
got you.
No, I got a nice horse to sell you.
And stuff like that, like the days of tubes and things like that.
Right, it's changed.
The crank-up cars.
So much.
I don't know where he was going with that. Wooden wheels and carts? Like, here we go. Thank you.
I love it, man.
Thank you for having me on.
Come crash anytime.
Nonsense, when you're talking nonsense, I'm going to hear that. And you notice that I censored. I'm gonna hear that outside. I'm not gonna have that.
Chris
Right?
keeps me in check. We need someone like that here, you guys.
That's it. My job's done. Now
I
I'm gonna
appreciate it,
go outside
man.
And I'm gonna not create the real thing. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you so much.
Chris_Neto on X. Go find him. AV in the AM. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. What a way. Yeah, I won't talk trash anymore. What a way to kick off. Day 2.
Day 2 here.
With the the myth, the man, the legend, popping in like that.
He'll
Well,
be following us around today now when we're doing our booth videos, keeping us in check.
somebody's got to.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
We're a bit loose out here sometimes.
No. Well, man, that's I'm excited. Day 2, we've got more floor walking to do. We've got a bunch more. We shot so much video yesterday.
We did, yep.
Loads of it.
My
and,
watch has been buzzing with the likes and the follows.
The
and
notifications, yeah.
I gotta turn this off because literally I'm burning batteries out here.
We're excited to bring it to you guys. Stick around to all the socials, the Midwich Instagram, the Starin Instagram. I know SFM's posting stuff. The farm has been posting. You know where to find it. Come find us. C8022 at the booth.
Cool, let's do this.
Yeah.